Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my very first Hearthstone video, and over here you can see the program Cockatrice, which is made to play card games like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering. And yes, you are able to play Hearthstone already, though it's still alpha phase and not even beta. Beta isn't even out, but you already can play this in Cockatrice. But you have to be aware of all the rules and all the deck restrictions and stuff like that. You have to know all those kind of stuff in order to play this. If you don't know those rules and stuff like that, you won't be able to play this properly. So to start off, this is my Varia deck, and you can just simply, you have on the left side here, you have all the card database of all revealed cards so far. You can do some different kind of sorting here, for example like sorting by classes or mana costs and stuff like this. Then you have all the low mana costs on the top and all high mana costs on the bottom. So here you have a picture, and on the right you have a deck. So you can simply create a deck by clicking on new deck button over here in deck editor, and just type in a deck name, put some cards in by double clicking on them or just pressing this increment number button on the bottom here, and you can remove rows of more than one cards by once, or just decrement the number if you have more than one copy of it in your deck. So that said, you also have to put your hero card into your deck. Why that? You will see this later, because you browse your deck at the beginning of a game and put your hero out of your deck and put him on the table. So your hero is treated like a card itself. So you have to put it in your deck, else you mustn't put him in your deck, but else you had to create a token every time the game starts. And if you have your hero in your deck, you don't need to think about what hero this deck is about, because you can see it. So explaining my deck, so this is a warrior deck. I played some games with it, and it looks like it's very decent. So it's pretty okay. I'm not losing that much with this deck, and this is my first deck. I don't have any decks created so far, so this is my first deck. And this deck is a warrior deck, I already said that, yes. And this is a deck which is basically about damaging minions, and your minions profit from it. And damaging enemy minions, damaging your own minions, damaging any minions on the battlefield, and take profit of it. So having that said, I'm just going through all these cards and explain them and what they are, why I think they are so good in this deck, and just explain some combos and why the synergy of this deck is so good. So let's just start right up with this Acolyte of Pain. So it has 3 mana costs, 1 attack and 3 hit points. So it says whenever this minion takes damage, draw a card. So yes, you can see this. Whenever this minion takes damage, draw a card. So I can damage this guy and draw a card. So this is for the draw power, and pretty strong card. And I have 2 copies of this in my deck, and you will see later why he is so strong in this deck. So here you have the Armor Smith, which is 2 mana cost, 2 damage and 3 HPs, excuse me. So it says whenever a friendly minion takes damage, gain 1 armor. So it's whenever a minion of your side of the field takes damage. So like when I have the Acolyte of Pain out and I damage him, or he gets damage, I draw a card. And when the Armor Smith is also on the field and the Acolyte of Pain gets damaged, I also get one armor to my hero because of this cool Armor Smith. So I only got 1 copy of Armor Smith in my deck, because this deck is not about stacking up armor on my hero, but more about the theme damaging your own minions or damaging minions in general. So I used to have 2 copies of this guy in my deck, but I had to get another execute in, so I had to throw 1 card overboard. So and this seemed to be the least effective card in this deck, so I had to get rid of 1 copy of it. So then we have the Cruel Taskmaster, which is 2 mana cost, 2 attack, and 1 HP, and it has a Battlecry effect, which takes action if this minion is summoned. Just only once this effect, Battlecry effect, will trigger. So I will explain all these effects to you in case you don't know the rules or the game mechanics by yourself. So for the beginner guys, yes. So Battlecry says deal 1 damage to a minion and give it +2 attack. So there is where this is really taking this minion is really strong in combination with all these other cards, because it damages minions and buffs it with plus attack in a trade-off of dealing damage to them. But all these minions are going to profit from taking damage, so they will get plus damage and take profit of this damage they're gonna get. So for example, I'm dealing damage to a random minion, to a minion of mine on my side, so the Armor Smith will get me 1 armor to my hero, or damaging the Acolyte of Pain will get me draw a card. And of course I have 2 copies of this in my deck. So then I have the Elven Archer, which is 1/1/1, which is very strong in the early game because it's 1 mana cost. So you need to have some cards in your deck which have 1 mana cost or even less. So you don't stand there in the beginning of the game and you're not able to play any cards. So this guy has also a Battlecry which deals 1 damage. So you can choose which minion or which character is going to get this damage. So I can damage 1 of my guys or damage 1 of the enemy guys, and this is pretty cool. It deals damage. That's what this deck is all about. So fits in. So next we have the Frozen Berserker, which is 3 mana costs, 1 attack and 4 health, which is not so strong by the stats itself, but the effect is just brutal in this kind of deck. This card is just key. So whenever a minion takes damage, gain +1 attack. So through any of those effects, so if any minion gets damage, so this guy grows stronger and stronger in terms of attack. So I had a few games where this guy was like 12 attack or even 20 attack. Yes, I already had games where this guy was over 20 attack, and you will see why this is so strong. So then I have Grom Hellscream, which is 8 mana cost. So for the late game you need to have some late game cards. You don't need to, but I want to have at least 1 card which is strong in the late game. And also this has 4 attack and 9 health. So again, the stats are not so good for its cards, but then is their effect charge, which means this minion can attack the turn it was summoned. So other minions, if you summon a minion, you can't directly attack. You have to end your turn, wait for your opponent to make the move, pass the turn to you, and only then you can attack with your minions. So minions with the charge ability are able to attack in the same turn they are summoned. So this is really strong and really aggressive, and gives your opponent not the opportunity to deal with this card. So yes, and then there is an Enrage effect, which Enrage effect always is activated when this minion's when this minion is damaged. So as long as this minion has less than 9 health, the Enrage effect will trigger. So plus 6 damage. So this guy, if this guy is not full health, below 9 health, he has 10 attack. So this is pretty strong. And if you attack a 1 damage minion, he gets 1 damage and has 10 attack. So he gets 10, 8, and this is pretty strong for an 8 mana cost. And yeah, that's pretty nice because you can damage him due to Cruel Taskmaster. You can just damage him tactically, and he gets plus 6 damage, but he won't get plus 6 damage every time he's damaged, but it will activate once, only once. So, but if I heal this guy to 9 health again, so the Enrage effect will be gone, and if he gets damaged again, he will reappear. So yes, that is what this is about. So the Cruel Taskmaster can just damage this guy, give him plus 2 attack, and also he will gain plus 6 attack, so plus 8 in total, so he will be 12-8 if you play those two in the combo. So there also is a Gurubashi Berserker. Oh man, I can't talk straight. So it is 5 mana cost, 2 damage, only 2 damage, which is really low, but 7 health, which is pretty strong. So the stats by itself, it's not so strong, but whenever this minion takes damage, gain plus 3 attack. So this is basically like an Enrage effect, but it can trigger more than once. So if I damage him by myself with a Cruel Taskmaster, he will get plus 3 attack. So when I attack, and after that I attack a minion and kill this minion, and this guy is still alive, he gets plus 3 attack again. And every time this guy is damaged, he will get plus 3 attack. So it stacks, which is like an Enrage effect, but even stronger. So multiple times. So then there's the Injured Blade Master, which is 3 mana cost, 3 attack, and 7 health, but has a battle cry, deal 4 damage to himself. And some of you guys might think, what the fuck is this card all about? Why would he have 7 health and battle cry, deal 4 damage to himself? This is so stupid. So he's 3/3/3, and just like any normal card. So it's not good, but not so bad, but it's a decent card. So, but if you have a deck like this, where you profit from minions being damaged, this guy is really good in this deck. So, for example, having the Armor Smith out, playing the Injured Blade Master, he deals damage to himself, so the effect of the Armor Smith will trigger. Or of the Frozen Berserker, he will gain plus 1 attack when you summon this guy, Injured Blade Master, because he deals damage, and that keep in mind, that is what this deck is all about. So carry on. There is the 1 mana cost Shield Bearer, which has 0 attack, 4 health, taunt, Enrage plus 1. So taunt is something like protection. So if you have a taunt minion out, the enemy has to attack your taunt minion before he can attack other minions without taunt. So if you have several minions out with taunts, or multiple minions, then he can choose which taunt minion he is going to attack. So your hero can't attack neither. So this is generally to protect some precious cards of yourself. For example, like the Frozen Berserker. If you have the Shield Bearer out and the Frozen Berserker, he has to deal damage to the Shield Bearer, which will get the Enrage effect. And also, killing this guy will also make this guy big. So this is pretty cool. So then, And also this card, I have to say, is one of the most used cards so far, I think. I already have seen this guy so often. This guy is really put almost in every deck by almost every player because it is just so strong. It's such a good defense card. If you draw him on the first turn, you have a 4 health minion with Enrage effect and taunt, and he hasn't any damage, but he eventually will Enrage, so he gets at least 1 damage, and he is just pretty strong in terms of defense. So then we have the Tauren Warrior, which has also a taunt ability and Enrage +3, and taunt and Enrage is really cool because the enemy has to attack this minion to kill it, and if he don't kill this guy in one blow, he will get +3 attack. So the enemy has to attack this guy in one turn, else he will get his ass kicked, because this guy gets 5 health, 5 attack. And also the stats are quite decent. So that's about all these minions in this deck. And now come to the spells. So there's Battle Rage, which is 2 mana cost and says draw a card for each damaged minion on the battlefield. Which is pretty cool because you're damaging all those minions, and all those minions are profiting from being damaged, and also you can draw a card for each damaged minion on the field. So this is really cool, and give you really strong draw power. For example, if you have 4 or 5 minions out on the field which all are damaged, you only have 2 mana cost and get 5 cards to draw. So then we have Brawl, with its 5 mana cost, and it says destroy all minions except one chosen randomly. So this is a pretty situational card, just like Battle Rage. If you don't have any minions out, or only the enemy has minions out and they are all full health, you won't get any card. So this card is practically useless. So Brawl is kind of the same, but it's not that bad, because if you're in a bad situation and the enemy has his board filled with minions and you have 0 minions on the field, and you draw this card, this card will save your butt. But if you're in the aggressive situation where you have the board control, this card is practically useless, but it can save your butt. And I'm thinking about putting a second copy of this into my deck, but I have to throw out one more card before I do this. So maybe I get rid of one Elfen Altar or something like that. But I'm just trying this deck several times more, and then decide if I'm going to take another copy of Brawl into it. So then we have the Commanding Shout, which is 2 mana cost and says your minion can't be reduced below 1 health this turn, which is really awesome because you can just play this card and attack and run your minions into the other minions, and it's like suiciding your own minions, but your own minions can't die. This is really cool because if you have some minions like this guy here, he gets really strong but only has 3 health. So let's say he gets damaged by 2, he only has 1 attack, so he has 1 health. So he has 5 attack and only 1 health left, so he can deal 5 damage to a minion. But generally, no matter what the minion is, most of minions have at least 1 attack, so it will kill himself by attacking this guy. So Commanding Shout will save his butt. Also, you can just, yeah, I was thinking, no, you can't do that. No matter. So it doesn't matter. So this guy, this card is obviously pretty cool. So I took 2 copies of it into the deck. So then we got Execute, which is 2 mana cost and destroys a damaged enemy minion, which plays really cool with the Elven Archer, for example, or the Cruel Taskmaster. And this card is best played against strong minions, and you mostly wanna keep this card into your hand until the late game, until the big minions come out, because you don't have any other chances dealing with strong minions of the enemy. So this is kind of the only way you can defeat large minions, which are like 10 attack or 10 health. So you can just damage them due to Elven Archer or Cruel Taskmaster. It doesn't say it's friendly minions, so you can damage enemy minions as well. You're also buffing their attack, but it doesn't matter if you execute them. So then we got Enrage, which also is pretty strong in the combination of execute or some other cards, which is 0 mana cost, which is really awesome, and it deals 1 damage to a minion and it gains 2 attack, but only for this turn this card is played. So only a temporary attack boost, but can also pretty strong if you enraging your own minions on purpose, like the Shield Bearer, Torn Warrior, or Grom Hellscream, or triggering one of these Acolyte of Pain, Armor Smith, or Frozen Berserker's effects, or just damaging enemy minions to execute them. So then we got Rampage, which is also really strong. 2 mana costs and give a damaged minion +3/+3, so you can, for example, play the injured Blade Master and he's a damaged minion, although he didn't attack or didn't have done anything, and you can just buff him +3/+3, making him a 6/6 minion, which is really awesome. And also, for example, enraging minions which are damaged and are strong already, you can rampage them and give them extra health and also extra damage. So this is really annoying, and keeping them alive and just making them brutal. And then the last card in this deck is Whirlwind, which is 1 mana cost and deal 1 damage to all minions, which is your own minions and the enemy minions. So therefore you have those enraged minions. So the enraged minions will benefit from this effect, because it will trigger the enrage effect. And also it deals 1 damage to the enemy. And this is also very strong if you have a lot of minions with 1 HP left, and then you play Commanding Shout, so they can't drop below 1 health, and then play Whirlwind, so your own minions won't get any damage. And it won't kill any minions. So this is what this deck is all about, and yeah. I'm planning on doing some other decks and discuss them and present them to you, and I'm looking forward to do this to all the other classes and heroes in this game, and do at least 1 deck for every hero in the deck so far. And then you can still do some other kinds of decks, like another warrior deck, which for example is mostly about the charge ability or stacking up armor. So there are a lot of cards which get you really strong by stacking up your own armor on your hero because of this hero ability. Or there might be other decks which are more into equipping weapons and stuff like that, and cleaving. There's a spell like Cleave, I can just look at it. Cleave in the database. Dealing damage through spells and heroic strike and stuff like that. But yeah, that's about this Enrage deck, and you can just leave a comment how you find this deck, how strong you find this deck. What about the synergy of those cards? What about the draw power? How strong you find this deck in general? How you like the Enrage mechanic by yourself, and just leave some comments. What do you think? What do you think? What cards can be exchanged against maybe other cards, and which cards are pretty strong in this deck? Which cards are good and can be left in this deck? Which cards have to be exchanged? Just write me some comments below this video, and I hope you had fun listening to this, and thanks for watching.